Hello and welcome to QuarterLight, your car brochure channel, and in today's episode we're continuing our December 1984, January 1985 Ford cars in the UK full range brochure. This week we're up to Escort. Hello and welcome back. Now if you're new to QuarterLight, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube, looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, and sometimes beyond those decades as well. So if you're interested in cars, looking at car brochures, maybe you're interested in collecting car brochures, but mainly it's all about looking back at these cars that really provoke some kind of memories. In some ways we're a little bit of a history program, I guess. Anyway, if you're interested in all that, please do consider subscribing. It really helps the channel, helps you find what you're looking for, and also helps the channel grow. So please do consider subscribing. It is completely free. And actually you can become a member if you want to support the channel. Anyway, back to today's episode. This particular episode was first aired on a Friday. Every Friday on QuarterLight we look at a Ford. This week, no different whatsoever. In fact, we've started a bit of a series looking at this full range brochure for late 84, early 85. Last week looked at Fiesta. Don't worry if you missed that episode, I will do a link at the end. This week, Escort. So obviously, as you will know, Escort range was quite vast at this time, so we better get on with it. And here is the brochure. Quite simply says cars, but it's the Ford car range in the UK. December 84, January 85. Ford cares about quality is a little tagline at the bottom there, featuring a car that we're going to do today, as in the third generation Escort, but weirdly the model on the front cover for a few reasons. So just zooming on the front cover there, it's a lovely image, there's no doubt about that. It's nice to see it on the front cover on a brochure, but still a little bit weird for a few reasons. It'd been delayed a lot of times by the time we're seeing this on the front cover of December 84, January 85, to be honest with you. In fact, I do have a little bit of a leaflet. Let me just go back to that a moment. So this little leaflet actually for the Escort RS Turbo was actually circulated before this brochure. This was dated October 84. So kind of like building that excitement, although you couldn't actually buy it in October 84. But this kind of like stirred up, oh, this new car is coming, and certainly it was something a little bit special for sure. So they featured it on the December 84, January 85 brochure. I don't think it was actually even for sale by this time though. Certainly early 85 would have been when it came out. It's weird that it's shown on the front cover on this brochure, but if we look at the Escort range, it doesn't appear. So I think even Ford was quite eager to get this model out, but maybe everything wasn't really ironed out in terms of specs by this time, rather weirdly. And in fact, only 5,000 examples went to the UK. There was more sold than that, but other European markets got them as well, of course. And there was only actually sold through Rally Sport dealers, so you couldn't actually just turn up at every Ford dealer and find these for sale. But that was nothing new. If we look back to the sporty Escorts of old, like the Mexico, etc., they were more in the special Rally Sport dealers as well, and they were usually found at the back of brochures. But like I say, there's no appearance whatsoever of this car in this brochure, apart from the front cover, which is weird because you go in the showroom, see this on the front cover, oh, I want to look at this and look at more details, and it doesn't come in the brochure. So maybe they should have waited to throw this on the front cover. I think it's a strange front cover at this time for sure. Majority of them, of course, sold in this white colour. In fact, on the previous leaflet we can see there it says white hot. White was the colour. In fact, on these first RS Turbo Mark III cars, these sometimes referred to as the Series 1 RS Turbo, They were all in white, only 3 of them were actually sold in black. One of them actually went to Princess Diana, incidentally. But anyway, I'm waffling. I just wanted to point out what a weird front cover it was. I don't know what you think about that, but like I say, weird in that it doesn't appear again in the brochure. Anyway, let's move to Escort. Just before we do actually get to the Escort range, I thought this was an interesting little image showing all these XR3s going around Brands Hatch, which I thought is a particularly nice images. Maybe we'll just have a quick look at some of these images. So some interesting little images of these XR3s, and this is actually a racing school where they had at the time a fleet of 16 Ford XR3Is to throw around the track. Certainly comment if you ever went to this school, but certainly great fun, I'm sure, zooming around in these XR3s. And then quite oddly, there is a little bit of an image of the RS Turbo, which looks like it's just been superimposed on the background rather weirdly, and then we get lots of sort of blurry XR3i images, etc. But I thought I'd throw that in because I think that's an interesting little bit of history there. But let's move to the Escort range proper. So when we turn to the Escort category or section, at the top there says Escort, the definitive design. I must admit, I always quite like the XR3i. I always quite liked this Mark III Escort. It certainly was a big move away from the Mark II. Main image, of course, is the Cabriolet. I'm tempted to say, look at this nice XR3i Cabriolet, although at this early time, it was just known as the Escort Cabriolet 1.6i. Love the wheels, I must admit, and we've got the usual driving lights denoting sporty, but there is more about this later, so we'll come back to it. Let's see how the range starts. Actually, before we get to the section proper, it does actually show this page where it just says Escort, the fast-selling family has made friends all over the world. We don't have time really to go over this, but I just wanted to point out this little section here. So at the bottom corner it says, now comes the white hot Escort RS Turbo, a dazzling performer whose smooth, reliable 1.6i engine delivers a prodigious 132 PS at 6,000 RPM. Although designed with competition in mind, it is also a perfectly practical road-going car in keeping with Ford's proud RS traditions. And then at the bottom here we get a minute little image of the RS Turbo. Like I said, no proper section showing that car. I suppose I should also show this, showing some of the wheel rims going from basic to XR3i. But anyway, let's turn to the section proper. And what I mean by the section proper is, how did the range start with the Escort range? Here it is, Escort Popular and Saloon. Image is of the Popular, but let's read the text. It says, attractive proof that award-winning cars need not be expensive to buy or run. We can assume this is going to be pretty poverty spec. We'll have a look at the text though, and then we'll come back to the images. So text-wise, it tells us Ford's well-deserved reputation for blending very advanced technology with exceptionally good value for money is endorsed by the Escort Popular and the Escort Saloon. So just a reminder, we're actually talking about 2 models here. I remember the Escort Popular, of course. I don't remember the one called the Escort Saloon, as in, what, an unnamed model? So not a Popular Plus, but just call it the Saloon. Now, one thing I've noticed is they look like they're pretty much the same specifications, apart from the Escort Popular has got the 1.1 and the Escort Saloon has got the 1.3. I don't remember that. Do you remember that? I don't remember at all that there was a model that didn't have a name that had a larger engine than the Popular, because you almost think one called the Escort Saloon would be even more basic than a Popular, but it's actually one model up from a Popular, but not calling it a Popular Plus. I think that's a little bit confusing. Anyway, the prices are remarkably low, so are the all-important running costs, but these high-quality cars have the same engineering features as the rest of the award-winning, best-selling Escort range. That has to be good news, because the front-wheel drive Escort is one of the most successful designs ever produced by any manufacturer. Its pedigree includes a Design Council Award and coveted Car of the Year trophy. Like its hard-charging XR3i stablemate, the Popular has 3-door bodywork with easy access to the comfortable back seat. So a little bit amusing they're actually comparing this base model to an XR3i because it's got a 3-door bodywork. The Saloon features Ford's notably refined and efficient 1.3 CVH or compound valve hemispherical head engine. So it's not really mentioning the 1.1 in the Popular there, is it? And which combines with 4-speed gearbox to make the Saloon a very brisk and economical performer, developing a lively 69 PS at 6,000 RPM. The CVH power unit enables the Saloon to dash from 0 to 60 in only 11.3 seconds and then reach a top speed of 98 miles per hour. On both the Popular and Saloon, stopping is made safer with the servo-assisted 9.4 front discs and rear drums. The other side of the Saloon's character is underlined by doing 47.1 mpg at a steady 56 miles per hour. So kind of like ignores the 1.1 Popular there. Just talking about the Saloon's 1.3. I don't know about you, but I'm sure as somebody looking at this brochure, looking to buy a car, I think that would have been a little bit confusing what it's talking about. Almost like you'd go in there and say, I want a 1.3 Popular. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Sorry, madam, you can't get that. So I wonder if they've been deliberately a little bit unclear about that there. Anyway, moving on. It tells us the stylish body has dual tape stripes and a smart, practical black finish for the grille. Bumpers, windscreen surrounds and door handles. Excellent insulation is enhanced by carpet for the passenger and load compartments. The Saloon's other attractions including twin door mirrors, a lidded glove box and the sophistication of demister vents for the side windows. A glimpse on the inside. We're actually getting head restraints even on the most basic Popular, which is certainly nice to see. A very uninspiring interior with all that sea of grey though. And I think pretty much the Popular and the Saloon was spec'd the same, just with that different engine. So the actual main image is for the Popular. So this is actually going to be a 1.1. One thing I did like about these Escorts, I always liked the design of the rear lights. I don't know why, I quite like that design, it's quite iconic. No rear wiper, you'll notice. This one appearing in a rather uninspiring beige colour. And then we can have a look, at least we do get some stripes. Kind of like hiding the fact there isn't any rubbing strips, I guess, in that position. Wheels. Well, I guess the wheels there, so steel wheels with a black centre cap. I'm thinking maybe the Saloon had a silver centre cap. We'll look at the specs at the end though to discover that. So yeah, not the nicest colour I don't think for a Mark III Escort, but both the Popular and the Saloon you could only get flat colours, so you couldn't even spend more than get a metallic, so I guess that certainly did make it stand out a little bit, where you got quite uninspiring flat colours for the base models. Anyway, let's move on up the range. Turn the page, we actually get to the special edition laser, and I've just actually quickly looked at the notes there, I couldn't help myself. No, the Saloon also came with those black centre caps. You had to move up to the L to get the silver centre caps. The tiny little things that Ford used to do when they moved up a range. So yes, between the Popular, then the Saloon, we got the special edition Laser, and then came the L. Almost from a glance, you almost feel like you moved up to a Ghia model here. But we're going to look at the Laser separately. So tomorrow on our, no, actually Sunday, we'll look at the Laser special edition in our special edition episode. So we'll come back to that one on Sunday if you don't mind, because we do have a lot to get through. Let's move up to the next model, the L. And for a lot of people, this is really where your range actually started. Tells us a choice of 4 or 5 gears. Of course, that made a big difference having a 5-speed box. 2 petrol engines, 1 diesel engine gives the L fine performance and exceptional economy. I think back in the day, if I was going to say to anyone, I say at least go for an L. If you notice, we do get the silver wheel caps there, we can see them now. Notice we're still not having a rear wiper on there, but it almost feels like you've got to a proper model now somehow. But anyway, let's move to the, and incidentally, yes, I do like the base models now. I didn't like them in the day, but now I do because they're quite curious things. We'll look at the text, then we'll come back to the images. Smooth, quiet and clean, it combines a hearty appetite for miles with a thirst so modest that the official fuel figure includes 70.6 mpg at a constant 56 miles per hour. Further investigation reveals a heated rear window, reclining front seats, trimmed in 5 fabric with fully adjustable head restraints, a 60-40 split fold rear seat, a push button radio with stereo cassette, a trip recorder and a quartz clock. A remote control driver's door mirror is added to the passenger mirror, and there is also a cigar lighter, ribbed carpet and a stylish body moulding to protect the coachwork. Door mounted armrests, front door bins, improved door sidewalls, centre console, trinket tray and gear shift gaiter add to the Escort's already high comfort and convenience. All Escorts have a front anti-roll bar, front disc brakes and servo assistance with 4.5 by 13 wheels with silver coloured centre caps. Tyres are 155 SR13 radials. There's an L badge on the tailgates, but bright trim on the windshield and backlight surrounds with black finish on the B pillars. So it very much feels more like an actual proper model of Escort. Little images at the top there is kind of like demonstrating those wonderful split fold seats, which obviously with a hatchback is really what you needed, although you notice with the Escort at this time it was quite a high sill actually to lift things into the back. So the main image as we zoom in, and we can see how this particular example is badged. This particular one is a 1.3, so Escort 1.3L. Like I said, no rear wash wipe, although we have got a heated rear window now. And in fact, there's a much larger array of colours you could have, so you could spend a bit more and get a metallic now, which made a big difference, I think. And also we got this bit of a rubbing strip to protect you in the supermarket car parks. I think that alone was probably worth saving all those dents you would get on the more basic models. So moving up the range, and in fact unlike the Fiesta, in between the L and the Ghia we do get a GL. I think that kind of like feels like more of a complete range. I always thought it's weird that you couldn't get a GL Fiesta and it moves straight from an L to a Ghia, but this fits in rather nicely. I think it says high levels of comfort and efficiency in a car with the technology to look after its driver. Let's have a look at the text. So the Escort GL really looks after its driver. It automatically checks engine oil, water and washer fluid levels. They are monitored at all times by a special microprocessor developed by Ford, which lights up a special warning panel long before anything can go wrong. Every Escort has a signal which lights up when brake fluid is low, but the GL even tells the driver when the front brake pads are wearing out, or when it's time to fill up with fuel. The GL comes with the choice of a 1.3 or a 1.6 engine fitted with electronic ignition for reliability and more miles per gallon. The 1.6 has a 5-speed gearbox as standard and ventilated front discs in its braking system that, like the 1.3's, is servo assisted. The 5-speed gearbox is optional on the 1.3. A third choice is provided by Ford's new high technology 1.6 diesel engine and its standard equipment 5-speed transmission, astonishing 70.6 miles per gallon, etc, etc, which we've already really learnt about. The equipment includes 2-speed wipers with intermittent wipe, a quartz clock, trip recorder and a radio stereo cassette. Other features include body protection mouldings, a remote controlled driver's door mirror, a passenger door mirror, tailgate wash wipe now, bright belt line mouldings and protective bumper inserts. Inside, the GL is made even more comfortable than the Escort L. Its adjustable reclining front seats are trimmed in straw fabric. They also have fully adjustable headrests. The passenger area is carpeted in velour. And there's the convenience of a 60/40 fold back seat. The driver gets a soft feel 2-spoke steering wheel, 2-tone instrument panel with lower parcel shelf. Within easy reach there's a cigar lighter and a handy coin box for parking fees and road tolls. Grab handles for the front and the rear passengers, dipping rear view mirror, vanity mirror and tilting rear package tray. Inside the GL it certainly looks a nicer place to be, you know, with simple things like 2-tone sort of door cards on there. It really lifts it, I think. And then the main image, bit of a close-up at the front end there. Wheels now, we've got these sort of nicer sort of centre caps. And certainly a nicer looking wheel, although it is still a steel wheel. Somehow it looks somehow a little bit nicer. And we've got little bright inserts on the rubbing strips now. So overall, typical with Escorts, or typical with Fords I should say. As you kind of get to the GL, you start feeling you're getting a little bit more upmarket. But of course you could go further. So the Escort Ghia, certainly, you know, showing off to your neighbours now in the lap of luxury. But there's more to the Ghia than sumptuous trimmings and impressive electronics, apparently. Certainly they did look nice from the outside. I always liked the Ghia. And it's weird, really. Obviously, it was the so-called luxury version of a Ford range. I never, ever owned a Ghia model of anything, but it was certainly something when you saw that little Ghia badge on the front wing. I think Ford were very clever with that in some ways, you know. Really makes you want to move up from a GL and spend that little bit more money, of course. Let's have a look at the text. And in fact, we get a little bit of an image of that Ghia badge on this page. Sorry it falls on the crease there, but it says, like all Escorts, the Ghia's quality starts with fundamentals. The 5x13 road wheels fitted with 155 SR13 tyres comes with full wheel covers. Hurrah, we get full wheel covers. Incidentally, they're the same wheel covers as that special edition, but we'll look at the special edition on Sunday. Whilst its all independent suspension ensures comfort from the road up, the seats, specially developed for the Escort with thick contoured foam over flexible steel mesh platform and individually tensioned coil springs, work in harmony with the suspension. For extra comfort, the driver's seat has lumbar adjustment. There's extra sound insulation too, plus a 60/40 split fold back seat for passengers and extra luggage. The renowned Ghia influence is everywhere. From the tinted windows and tilting sliding screen sunroof to the fully adjustable head restraints, wood effect inserts, centre console with handbrake gaiter, cut pile carpeting and carpeted rear seat back. There are two engine choices, the 1.3 with manual choke or the 1.6 with automatic. Now I said before that 1.6L was probably the model I would have been thinking about, although I must confess Fords at this time I did prefer a manual choke, so maybe I might have been tempted by the 1.3. Also note, no diesel. We can't have a dirty diesel with a Ghia, surely. Not sophisticated enough. It goes on to tell us both with electronic ignition. A 5-speed gearbox is standard on the 1.6, optional on the 1.3, so maybe you might have got a 1.3 and optioned it with the 5-speed box just to get that manual choke. I don't know how much you feel about, I guess it's how much you dislike the automatic chokes on Fords at this time, I guess. Other features include remote control mirrors on the front doors, electronic warning system monitoring brake pad wear and low windscreen washer fluid, oil coolant and fuel levels, an SRT 32P, MW, LW, VHF stereo radio and stereo cassette player, electronically operated aerial, solid state multi-function digital clock, trip recorder and tachometer, heated rear window and tailgate wash wipe. For the main image, sadly it does fall in the crease, so these big pictures do, but nevertheless this is obviously your Escort Ghia. Notice those sorts of overriders on those front bumpers and a little bit of a chrome or bright work around sort of like the end of the bonnet going around the lights. Really actually makes it look a bit nice, and of course that Ghia badge on the wing. Wheel trims, like I said, give it a more of a sort of sleeker, more polished look. And if you look even on the back lights, you can see that sort of bright work going around those rear lights as well. Tells us actually in the notes that this model has got rear seat belts fitted as an optional extra, though I don't think you can actually see them in there through those tinted glass windows. And of course this is another metallic, so that would have been an optional extra even on the Ghia. So I always kind of like feel that that's kind of like the end of the main range in lots of ways, and then you get the more special models like we're going to look at next, the XR3i, moving on to more sportier models, I guess. And the XR3i was an amazing model in many ways. I mean, it's very iconic of the 80s, greatly marketed. Don't know where they got the name XR3i. I don't know what that is referring to. XR, I don't know. Maybe you could tell me. But certainly very clever, and certainly looks nicer than just sticking, I don't know, sport on the back or something. It just felt something a little bit special. It says Ford's fuel-injected Flyer is capable of 116 miles per hour and combines refinement and razor-sharp handling. So, unusual coloured page here, but it says the advantage of the XR3i's fuel injected is twofold. By helping the engine extract more power from the fuel mixture, it makes it more economical. The result is lightning acceleration, yet surprisingly frugal fuel consumption, 44.1 mpg according to government tests, at a constant 56 miles per hour. To complete the fuel-injected engine, the differential ratio has been changed to further improve performance, while the suspension, which benefits from upgraded telescopic shock absorbers and the fitting of a thicker forward stabiliser bar, is specially tuned for really razor-sharp handling. Also, Car Magazine called it very refined and went on to say that the ultra low profile radial tyres on 14 by 5.5 wheels provide an incredibly high level of grip. The brakes, with upgraded pads on the front and improved shoes within, bigger drums at the back, are servo assisted and potent. Other features include Monza and crushed velour fabric trimmed sports reclining seats with drivers, lumbar adjustment, fully adjustable headrests, Shark grey cut panel carpet, 60/40 split rear seats, front door stowage bins and integral armrests. Shark grey perforated headlining, 3-spoke soft wheel sport steering wheel, special gear shift gaiter and knob, centre console with handbrake gaiter, halogen headlamps, heated rear window, remote control mirrors on front doors, trip recorder, tachometer, multifunctional digital clock, stereo radio, stereo cassette and electronic warning system, monitoring brake pad wear and low windscreen washer, oil coolant and fuel levels. Ford's leading role in international motorsport plays a key part in improving its road cars. Durability, reliability, fuel efficiency and performance. The Escort XR3i is a classic example of the link between the road and the track. Its heart is a specially developed ES version of the 1.6 litre overhead cam power unit available in the L, GL and Ghia Escorts. It boasts a Bosch K Jetronic fuel injection system, electronic ignition and oil cooling that makes sure the performance never outstrips the lubricant's ability to keep up. To match its high-speed capability, the XR3i's aerodynamics are honed by spoilers and wheel arch air deflectors and make it even more slippery than its sister Escorts. The results of all these modifications is a 0 to 60 mph time of just 8.8 seconds, which actually for the time wasn't too bad. An exhilarating 4th gear sprint between 30 miles per hour and 50 miles per hour and a top speed of 116. Pulling all this together means an outstandingly complete performance car. There is a look on the inside. I like the door cards and I like how that's set up. Nice little sporty steering wheel, really nice seats with that sort of body hugging design. I wish there was a few little bright bits on there, a bit of red in there maybe, might have livened it up, but nevertheless, at least it has got these two-tone seats in there. In fact, actually, I've just noticed there that these are actually electric windows on the front. You can see a little simple plug where your wind-down windows would be, and this little, you just about make out the switch, but that would have been an optional extra at the time. And there, of course, is that main image in a lovely red. It really suits the XR3i in red, of course, sort of like body-coloured bumpers with a black strip. Of course, those very much of its time, a little bit of a wing on the back there. Those XR3i alloy wheels. Sorry, the camera just went out of focus there. Very iconic design, aren't they, those wheels? Now, interestingly, this is unusual. The alloy wheels aren't really specified as an optional extra. And we always talk about these XR3s are paying more for the alloy wheels. Well, weirdly, there was two models. There's quite simply the model called the Escort XR3i, and we'll see this in the price range actually in a moment. We'll see one model called the Escort XR3i and one model called the XR3i with alloy wheels. So it wasn't actually in the options list to say, I want the, I don't know, electric windows and the alloy wheels, please. No. It was just classed as almost being like one model up, but the only thing you got was the alloy wheels. So that was kind of like very weird indeed. I think alloy wheels, you needed it really, and unfortunately it doesn't show it here, but it had the driving lamps on there as well, which you really needed on the XR3i, and they were an optional extra. A little bit weird not to have those on there because you really think about them at the time, of course. This is a flat colour, so you wouldn't have had to pay any extra for the colour, of course, but apparently this has got tinted glass and you did have to pay extra for tinted glass. Moving up, yeah, sadly we're not going to see the RS Turbo, but moving up, it's showing the Cabriolets. Two models at this time, one quite simply called the Escort Cabriolet, which would have been this model up here, and then the Cabriolet 1.6i, which is this young lady here. XR3 alloy is shown on here, but it's not an XR3 Cabriolet, so you know XR3 Cabriolet at this time, which is unusual because you'd think quite simply stick that XR3i badge on the back. Why not? Because it looks that way, but just called a 1.6i. Anyway, it tells us Ford's classy cabriolets combine the fun of open air motoring with room for all the family. Always nice to see, and you certainly see a few of them around actually, although I always thought there was quite a pricey option to go for the Cabriolet. For what was, after all, just an Escort. We'll have a look at the text. The Escort Cabriolet is a brilliant blend of open-top, sporty car and practical family-sized saloon. It combines all the fun in the sun characteristics of a roof-down roadster with seats for up to 5 people. Plenty of luggage space and a snug-fitting hood that's notably easy to operate. There's a choice of engines. Ford's smooth economical 1.6 provides 79 PS to give the Cabriolet plenty of sparkle plus excellent economy. But the Cabriolet 1.6i model is really special. Its fuel injection, shared with the XR3i, why not just stick an XR3i badge on the back, gives the auxiliary mile-eating performance of a true sports car. Delightfully crisp, responsive and free revving, it produces 105 PS at 6,000 RPM and has the flexibility to make light work of heavy traffic. It goes on to tell us all cabriolets have a 5-speed gearbox engineered to combine vivid acceleration with fast, frugal cruising. Designing an open model involves a great deal more than removing the steel roof and replacing it with a fabric roof. That's why Ford devoted more than 3 years to perfecting a car that's every bit as strong as its Saloon and Estate counterparts in the front-wheel drive Escort range. No fewer than 80% of the Cabriolet's body shell panels are either new or modified to maintain strength and eliminate the rattles that have plagued so many open cars in the past. Features include reinforced bulkheads with side rails, a thick hoop mounted immediately behind the wide opening doors, and a rear package tray that's made of steel and welded into place. The windscreen pillars and header rail are also unique and contribute to the Cabriolet's structural integrity. Just as much thought and care went into designing the thick, fully insulated hood, which incorporates a layer of sound deadening material and has a glass rear window with a heating element. Folding is simple, just release a couple of handles. The hood then drops neatly down behind the back seat, where it retained by safety catches and takes up very little space. The Escort Cabriolet is a far cry from the traditional stark open car image. It was designed with families in mind, can seat up to 5 people and has a big lidded boot, whose area is quickly extended by lowering the rear back seats, or the back rests I should say. Like its Saloon and Estate counterparts, the Cabriolet has a very impressive list of standard equipment, plus features that are special to this model. They include remote control mirrors on both doors, colour-keyed velour carpet, lockable glove box, wind-down rear quarter windows, a lockable cap for the 10.5 gallon fuel tank, and Ghia style door trims with the convenience of stowage bins. The Cabriolet's 1.6's specifications embrace such features as low profile 185 60 HR 14 tyres on 5.5 inch alloy wheels, rear wheel arch deflectors, and an SRT 32p stereo cassette audio system with 4 speakers. Supportive seats trimmed with Monza and crushed velour fabric, and very much in tune with the Cabriolet's 1.6's role as a practical and exceptionally luxurious sporting car. So here's the lower spec Cabriolet, just called the Cabriolet. We can see the wheel trims on there. Now we got a little bit of an image on the inside. A sea of grey, but like I say, quite nice, all sorts of XR3i style seats. And then the main image. Interestingly, at this particular time, the Cabriolet 1.6i came as standard with these alloy wheels. Unusually, considering Ford used to like having these as optional extras, but no, standard on the 1.6i Cabriolet. And then just zooming on the back, just proof that it does not say XR3 on the back there, it just says 1.6i, doesn't it? But unusually, you'd think it would say XR3i. I don't know why they didn't consider that at this particular time. Metallic paint, of course, optional extra. This model again coming with rear seat belts, again optional extra. I guess not as practical though. I mean, they're saying it's a very practical car for a family, but it's not really, because you lose that great hatchback facility, don't you? But an interesting car. I've never really considered the Cabriolet really, because I always thought they were very expensive for what they were. But of course, like it says, you can't just chop the roof off and sell it. There has to be a lot of extra stuff that has to go into to still make it a rigid car. Of course, they've got the practicality of the estate cars as well. I'm not going to read the entire thing, because obviously it's going to be going over similar sort of things about the engines, etc. Obviously the main thing is you've got more space in the estate, and we'll certainly have a look at the image. It tells us Escort Estates even roomier than their Saloon, but with similar aerodynamics for outstanding all-round efficiency. And I think a great little family car overall. Now you could have the Escort Estate as a very lowly popular. You could also have it as that very lowly no-named car, which we looked at the start of the show there, called the Saloon. Obviously here it would just be called the Estate. You could have it as an L. You could have it even as that special edition laser. And like I say, we'll have a look at that on Sunday. You can have it as a L, and you can have it as a GL. So quite a wide range of vehicles you could have it as the estate model. Obviously, of course, though, it was all about that extra space in there. I mean, that's what you get an estate or wagon for at the end of the day. Just make it a bit more of a practical vehicle. Of course, this particular model is showing those sorts of A-frame headrests, so that must be the drawing of either the popular or that lowly no-name estate model, because by the time you got to an L, of course, it had those nicer, more comfortable head restraints. Moving down to the main image, and in fact this is your so-called top of the range estate model at the time. This would have been the GL. Have a look at the rear lights. Now a similar sort of idea with that sort of stepped type light. I preferred the it on the hatchback though. I think it looked a little bit nicer, but nevertheless a way more practical car for a smaller family, which is what it was all about. Like I said, I'm not going to read all the text on that. We're going to move straight to the specifications, or should I say the prices. So specifications in these Ford brochures are vast, and certainly the brochure review is getting very long, so we're not going to read all this. It has little sections here, even showing the specifications again for all the models. You can see here, starting with the base model, the popular and the popular estate. Another reason why we didn't read all the information on the estate is because obviously the estate followed the hatchback specifications depending on what model you went, and then it goes through all the models showing the features. I think we've kind of like covered most of it though, sort of the key features at least, as we've been going through each model. I think we will certainly have a look at the options you could get on there, because it does tell you the prices. Quick look at the colours and a look at the price for each model. The nice thing about the options guide, of course, it really gives you an idea how basic the car was. So optional features you could have for the popular. You couldn't get metallic paint, so that wasn't featured on here as having to pay extra. You could get it in black though for an extra £90.72. I would imagine a black Escort Popular was pretty rare, really, because obviously you're buying a Popular because you want something as cheap as possible, so it would be unusual for you to pay an extra £90 to get the black paint. I would have thought so. Maybe that would be a rare one if you had a black Escort Popular. Tailgate wash wipe, £101. Maybe you would expect it for that because it's really the shape to have it. And then you can get seat belts, 2 rear lap diagonal inertia and 1 lap centre static for approximately £100. And then moving down, just another reminder that you can only get the base model in solid colours, so diamond white, cameo beige, which would have been that shot we saw at the start there, Rosso red, lacquer red, cedar green, ceramic blue and ocean blue, and of course that black at extra cost. The price for these, and also a reminder, you can only get these as a 1.1 litre in the Popular at this time. So the hatchback was £4,362 and change. The Estate version was £4,848 and change. That then takes us up to the no-named Escort. Specifications exactly the same. Options are exactly the same again. So again, black paint might have been quite an unusual option to get this particular model in. Colours are the same, so we just need to move down to the prices. And also a reminder that the difference between this and the Popular was you could only get this one as a 1.3. So the 1.3 was £4,928.57. The Estate version £5,333. So moving up to the 1.3 was quite a big price jump actually. Also a reminder that the hatchback there could only be having as a 3-door, and also the Estate. So the next model after the no-named model was actually the Laser and the Laser Estate. Like I said, I'm going to save that for a special episode. So that takes us up to the L. So we can certainly see straight away that the options are longer now, and we get metallic paints as well. So let's have a look at that. So options you could get on the L. So if you picked the 1.3 and wanted the 5-speed box, it was an extra £142. Also transmission with oil cooling for the 1.6 was £417. Black paint £90. Metallic paint £105. Tailgate wash wipe £101. Tinted glass all round £48. Seat belts for the rear £100. Sunroof tilting sliding glass on Saloon only £291. So just a reminder, you couldn't get the sunroof as an option on the Estate. So the same solid colour choice, but your actual trim was now 5 rather than Lorenzo, so a nicer quality seat coverings. And of course you can get those extra metallic colours now, so Strator Silver, Quartz Gold, Nimbus Grey, Jade Green, Paris Blue, Mineral Blue and Imperial Blue. Imperial Red I should say. What I was going to say is, so that's nice to add those to the L to make it stand out from the base models. Of course there are more models to be had as an L, because we've got engine choices, so we can get a 1.3 or a 1.6, and we can also get 3 and 5-door models. So the 1.3L as a 3-door was £5,397, as a 5-door £5,594, as a 1.6 only as a 5-door by the looks of it, it was £5,909. You could of course get the diesel as well, £6,043 for the 3-door, £6,240 for the 5-door. And then we've got the Estate option, so a 3-door 1.3 Estate L, £5,802, £5,999 for the same thing as a 5-door. And I always think it's weird having a 3-door Estate, so I think 5-door is certainly what I would have gone for. The 1.6L Estate, Again, only available as a 5-door, £6,314. And then finally the diesels, 3-door diesel, £6,448, and the 5-door diesel L at £6,645. That takes us to the GLs, and of course the GL Estate, the highest spec model estate Escort you could have at the time. Options included, again, the option to have a 5-speed on a 1.3, the option to have an automatic for the 1.6. You now also got the option to have central locking with torch key, 5-door saloon for £209.9. Nice to have, although possibly an expensive option to go for. Similar options of black and metallic paint. You can now get tinted glass all round for £48. And then you've got some in-car entertainment choices. So push button stereo radio, MW, LW, VHF stereo cassette, SRT 32p, £54.6, and a more expensive option as a push button all electronic multi-feature stereo radio, MW, LW, VHF stereo cassette, ECU 1, £186.16. And then we can get the seat belts for the rear again. We can get the sunroof again if we want to, but we can also have windows electrically operated front on the saloon only, £181.46. Kind of like weird that you couldn't get the electric windows as an option for the estate, but anyway, there we go. And then we get this similar sort of idea for the solid colours and for those metallic options at extra cost. Prices: your 1.3 GL, £5,923. Your 1.6 GL, £6,238, and you'll notice that these are all 5-door now. 1.6 diesel GL, £6,569. The 1.6 GL Estate, £6,643, and the 1.6 diesel GL Estate at £6,974. Prices, of course, moving up now as we get into the fancier models, so the Ghia. And similar sort of options actually for the Ghia, so you can get the 5-speed for the 1.3, auto transmission and oil cooling on the 1.6, paints are black or metallic. You've got the in-car entertainment, that ECU 1 now is £132.12. Seat belts are extra, windows electrically operated at the front, extra cost as well. Colours, looking like the same choice of colours again by the looks of it. And then finally moving down to the price. Just two options now, a 1.3 or a 1.6 Ghia. So the 1.3 Ghia, 5-door, £6,491.86. The 1.6 Ghia 5-door at £6,807.39. So then, moving up to the XR3, let's see what options you get on an XR3. And apologies, this is again falling quite heavily on the crease there. So options of central locking with torch key, £153.29. Driving lamps, surely you had to go for those at £91 and change. You get the options, of course, of black and metallic. Tinted glass all round was an extra £48 and change. Again, you can get that ECU1 in-car entertainment, £132. Seat belts at the rear, £100. Sunroof, an extra £291 and change, and windows electrically operated at the front, £181. And certainly note that it's not listing the alloy wheels as an optional extra in the specifications. It's saying see price list, so we'll have a look at it in a moment. Colours are now reduced. 3 solid colours of diamond white, Rosso red, black at extra cost, and 3 metallic colours of Strato silver, Nimbus grey and mineral blue. Then we can see in the price guide how they deal with that wheel option. So it's telling you there's 2 models really of an XR3i. So there's a 1.6 XR3i with steel wheels for £7,034, and there's a 1.6 XI3i with alloy wheels for £7,180. Weird that it's not specified as an optional extra. I can only think the reasons why that is because it was such a highly optioned to get the alloy wheels that they decided to list it like that, or maybe it was just that all dealers said we want ones with alloy wheels because everyone wants that. I'm not sure, but there we go, that's how they treated it at this time. So moving to the cabriolets, nothing really stands out for optional extras, usual sort of thing. Colours are different though in some ways, and certainly different from the lower cabriolet to the higher spec cabriolet. The lower cabriolet has got more metallic colour choice, interestingly, so let's just have a look at that. So the lower spec soft top came in diamond white, Rosso red and black at extra cost, and then for the metallics you can get Stratos silver, quartz gold, Nimbus grey, cypress green and Paris blue, and also Regency red as well. Price list, just one model of course, 1.6 cabriolet, 2-door, £7,798. Moving to the higher spec one, named the Cabriolet 1.6i. So the only thing that shouts out in the options for this model is those driving lamps, kind of like matching the XR3i, and also the colours are reduced, which matches, it doesn't, it's slightly different to the XR3i colours actually. So solid colours diamond white, Rosso red and black, which is the same as the XR3i, but metallic colours are slightly different in that you get Stratos silver, Nimbus grey, then Azure blue. A pricey car though, isn't it, at £8,901. And that takes us to the end of the Escort range. Next week, the Escort with the boot. We'll have a look at the Orion, the classic design. So there we go, the Escort range was indeed vast at this time. We've almost reached an hour, which is certainly the longest episode of QuarterLight ever, so if you're still watching at this time, thank you so much, that means so much. And certainly if you've reached this point, please do consider subscribing. Obviously you like the content. Like I say, Orion next week, and of course this is set on a Friday, so Forward Fridays, and then Sundays we do a special edition episode which will look back at that special edition version of the Escort. We would have been over an hour if we looked at that one as well, but thank you so much for watching. But we'll end as we always do by saying thank you so much for watching QuarterLight today and the Escort range for late 94, early 95. Ending with my model of the day. It has to be the XR3i, doesn't it? Like I say, please do consider subscribing if you got to this point. You must like the programme, and there's lots more to come, so I appreciate that. And of course you can support the channel by becoming a member as well. I'm going to throw a couple of boxes up. One is going to be for the range, actually the entire brochure when we actually make it. Of course, if you watched it when we just made this one, it'll only show the Fiesta, but it'll certainly give you an idea to catch up with the Escort if you missed that one. And then usually one is just a random episode from QuarterLight. We're going to have to wrap this one up though, so thank you so much for watching. It really is appreciated. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care and goodbye.